Page 1053. Page 1054. Page 1055. Page 1056.
You didn't look at me with me. What is it? Let me tell you something.
Page 1057. After I'm not talking. Okay.
My uncle did it to father's body. That's one thing you don't know. You just hate me, go over nothing, go on this.
No. Page 1058. That matter is over now. Leave the matter.
What is that?
1059. Page 10, 1060.
And you don't know. One of the greatest supporters of UNC is me.
I know.
You don't know.
I know. Page 1061.
You don't know.
Page 1062. One oh six two. 1063. One oh six four. 1065. 1066. 1067. 1068. 1069. 1070. 1071. 1072. 1073. 1074. 1075. 1076. 1077. 1078. 1079. 1080. 1081. 1082. 1083. 1084. 1085. 1086. 1087. 1088. Senator Sabo Mohammed, Jigawa Southwest.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. I'm Sabo Mohammed, representing Jigawa Southwest. I move that we adopt the boards and proceedings of 13th December 2016. I so move.
Senator Stella Odua, Anambra North.
Thank you, Mr. President. My dear colleagues, my name is Stella Odua. I represent Anambra North. I want to second that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 13th December be adopted. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 13 December 2016 be approved, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 13 December 2016 is hereby approved. Any petitions?
Point of order. Point of order.
Senator Matthew Rogidi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Matthew Urogide from Edo South Senatorial District. I have three petitions from my constituents. The first one is from one Mr. Ekunwe against the Postmaster General over the non-payment of his gratuity, and the other one too is Association of Retired Prison Officers against the prison authorities for the non-payment of their pensions. And then lastly, I have another petition from Sambona Nigeria Limited against the FCC. All these petitions are not encumbered by any legal process in any court. So I crave your indulgence if I can lay these petitions.
You come and lay the petition. Petitions referred to ethics and privileges. Report back in 2 weeks. Petitions, yes, Senator Wakil.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, My name is Senator Malam Ali Wakili MNI. With absolute humility, sir, I am presenting a petition from Bauchi State Motors Dealers Association. They are not protesting, but they are rather appealing to you to intervene on the issue of the fact that the land borders have been closed for the importation of cars through the land borders. So it has already been closed from 1st January. So they are mandating me as their representative, without any prejudice to any motion that may appear with my name again, that as their representative I should present this petition to this distinguished Senate for kind consideration.
Yeah, come and lay the petition. The petition is referred to Ethics and Privileges back in 2 weeks. Senator Barao Jibrin.
Mr. President, my name is Barao Jibrin, the Senator representing Kano North in this August Senate. Mr. President, I have a petition from SLT AA Mohammed, who was who was in the Nigerian Navy, but was dismissed from service, and he wants this August Senate to come into the matter because he felt, or he still feels, that his dismissal was not within the space of justice. Mr. President, may I lay the petition on the table?
Yes, come and lead the report. Petition referred to Ethics and Privileges back in 2 weeks. Yes, Senator Dinimilai.
Mr. President, my very respected colleagues, my name is Dino Milai, Kogi West Senatorial District. Mr. President, I have a petition of brutal killing of Mr. Arirebo DC Dressman, a 31-year-old technician, by irresponsibilities and gross negligence of the officials of the Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company at PHEDC's facility situated at the Eastern Bypass, Port Harcourt. If I have the nod of Mr. President, I will wish to lay the petition.
Yeah, I'll come and lay the petition. Petition is referred to Ethics and Privileges report back in 2 weeks. Senator Sumonu.
My name is Senator Monsura Sumonu. I rise to come under 42, 1 and 2. You can allow me to read.
No, I thought you have petition. Okay, you are coming to a point of order. Is there any other petition first before? Yeah. Senator Benjamin Wadmuju.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Benjamin Wajumogu Imonov. I have a petition from employees of National Center for Technology. Their petition is on the non-payment of their salary for 7 months. If I have the permission of Mr. President, I'd like to
come and lay the petition. Petition is referred to Ethics and Privileges report back in 2 weeks. Yes, point of order, Senator Musura.
Okay. My name is Senator Monsura Sumono, representing Oyo Central Senatorial District. I'm coming under Order 4212, if you allow me to read. Can I read?
Go ahead.
The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all the senators, the matter shall stand over till the next legislative day. Mr. President, this is something that concerns both Oyo State and Osun State about University of Ladoke Akintola Technology. The students of this university have been on strike since the 9th of June 2016 due to non-payment of the teachers' salaries. The students have been out everywhere causing civil unrest, and I believe that it is necessary for us, if you will allow me, to bring a motion so that we can look into the matter.
Distinguished colleagues, Senator Sumono mentioned this to me, and in line with our rules, is for us to get the leave of us for her to bring the motion. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We'll bring it in the next legislative day. Thank you. Yeah, Senator Jibrin.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Barao Jibrin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, I want to come under Order 42. With your permission, may I read the order as follows?
Go ahead.
The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all the senators, the matter shall stand over till the next legislative day. Not more than one such motion may be made at the same sitting. Mr. President, say may. It's you know.
Yeah, coming on. Yeah, coming on Order 42, isn't it?
The day sitting before the commencement of the sit, and I drew your attention to the outcry by the public that in respect to the new policy by the federal government to stop the importation of vehicles through the land borders. This, the public thinks, has huge negative economic ramification to our country.
Distinguished colleagues, Senator Jibrin came up to me on this matter, and just similarly in line with our rules, we'll seek the leave of our colleagues for us to take this up in another legislative. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We'll step down for another legislative day. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Jibrin Barao on the Federal Polytechnic Cabo Establishment, etc. Bill 2016. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Polytechnic Cabo Establishment, etc. Bill 2016, SB 406, first reading.
Federal Polytechnic Cabo Establishment etc. Bill 2016 SB 406 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The second business of the day is still presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Benjamin Uwajumugu on the Child Rights Act 2003 Amendment Bill 2016. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Child Rights Act 2003 Amendment Bill 2016 SB 410 first reading.
Child Rights Act 2003 Amendment Bill 2016 SB 410 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The third business of the day is still presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Dino Melai on the Facial Mutilation Prohibition Bill 2016. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Facial Mutilation Prohibition Bill 2016 SB 407 first reading.
Facial Mutilation Prohibition Bill 2016 SB 407 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the ad hoc committee on the mounting humanitarian crisis in the Northeast. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Shehu Sani, chairman of the committee, to first move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Shehu Sani.
Mr. President, I stand as Senator Shehu Sani, representing Kaduna Central. I firmly, ably, comfortably, and confidently stand to move this motion that the Senate do receive and consider the interim report of the ad hoc committee on the mounting humanitarian crisis in the northeastern part of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I so move.
Yes, Senator Porker.
Mr. President, dear colleagues, I rise to support the motion as moved, to second the motion as moved by Senator Sani. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the ad hoc committee in respect of the motion on the mounting humanitarian crisis in the Northeast. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Shehu Sani, come and lay the report and then we'll consider it. Go ahead and present the report.
Mr. President, I have with me here the interim report of the ad hoc committee on the mounting humanitarian crisis in the northeastern part of Nigeria. It is an interim report, and to save time, for easy debate and consideration, I divided this into two. The first is the findings, and the second is the recommendation. And I read those. Number one, humanitarian crisis management in the IDP camps. It is absolutely true that there is a serious humanitarian crisis in the Northeast, as evidenced by the plight of the internally displaced persons, both in camps and within the host communities. There is hunger, disease, squalor, deprivation, and...
Yeah, point of order, Chief Whip.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I point attention to Rule 56, subsection 10, as well as subsection 9. I read first 9. When a senator is speaking, no senator may converse aloud or make any noise or disturbance to interrupt him. Subsection 10, during a sitting, all senators shall be silent or shall confer only in other tones. The noise in the chamber currently is an affront to our republic.
Point of order is sustained. Distinguished colleagues, let us comport ourselves as distinguished senators, please. Shehu Sani, go ahead.
As speaking earlier, I divided these recommendations into two. The first is the findings and the second is the recommendations. And I will still read those. Humanitarian crisis in management of the IDPs. It is absolutely true that there is a serious humanitarian crisis in the Northeast, as evidenced by the plight of the internally displaced persons, both in camps and within the host communities. There is hunger, disease, squalor, deprivation, and want among the IDPs. This observation is corroborated by a statement accredited to the United Nations Deputy Coordinator of the Office for the Coordination of the Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, Mr. Peter Ludbard, to the effect that a projected 5.1 million people will face serious food shortages as the Boko Haram conflict and the risk of unexploded improvised devices prevented farmers from planting for the third year in a row, causing a major food crisis in the Northeast. B. Committee observed that the following local and international donor agencies were found to be present in most of the IDP camps, rendering critical humanitarian services. World Food Program, International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, Doctors Without Borders, and Dangote Group. These are the groups that were found to be evidently present in the camps. That there was vivid absence of the Federal Ministry of Health in all camps visited. However, while the few critical government agencies like NEMA as well as state emergency management agencies were noticed, but without synergy with other agencies. However, the Nigerian Air Force medical team was found rendering medical services to the IDPs with the little equipment at their disposal. D. That despite the claim by some federal government agency to the effect that huge sum of money is being spent on IDPs in the Northeast, what is on the ground, as seen by the committee, does not in any way justify or reflect the claim. For example, over 70% of the displaced children, both in camps and within the host communities, were out of schools due to lack of classroom infrastructure, inadequate teaching materials, and even teachers. They were also seen loitering in the camps, malnourished, sickly, and poorly dressed. Generally, there is acute shortage of food amongst the IDPs, as observed in one of the IDPs visited. 3 bags of rice of 50 kilogram each, a bag of beans of 50 kilogram each, and a 4 liter of palm oil were given to 30 people for 15 days. These were considered too insufficient as confirmed by many IDPs that interacted with the committee. 2. Contract award. The committee discovered that all contracts from the Presidential Initiative on Northeast were awarded under the principle of emergency situation as stipulated in Section 43I and 2, but with absolute disregard to Section 3 and Section 4 of the same Section 43 of the Public Procurement Act 2007, which states this: all procurements made under agencies all procurements made under emergencies shall be handled with explanation, but along principles of accountability, due consideration being given to the gravity of each emergency. 4. Immediately after the cessation of the situation warranting any emergency procurement, the procuring entity shall file a detailed report thereof with the Bureau, which shall verify same and appropriate issue a certificate of no objection. Similarly, the entire procurement activities carried out by the Presidential Initiative in the Northeast contravenes federal government financial rules and regulations number 2908, which says that under emergency situation, a procuring entity may engage in direct or single source procurement of goods, works, or services. 2. Further to subsection 1, procurement shall be made expeditiously without losing sight of the principles of accountability and transparency. 3. On cessation of emergency situation warranting procurement under this method, the procuring entity shall file records of procurement proceeding with a view of obtaining certificate of no objection if necessary from Bureau of Public Procurement. B. That most of the contracts awarded by PINE have no direct bearing or impact with lives of the displaced persons apparently languishing in hunger, starvation, disease, squalor, and other deplorable conditions in all the IDPs. The contracts under reference include: 1. PINE contributions to 2 conferences including the Northeast. 2. The purported payment of over 223 million naira for the removal of invasive plant species, Komadugu, Inyobe, water channels. C. That the Presidential Initiative on the Northeast took undue advantage of the provisions of the Emergency Situation Contract Award in the Procurement Act 2007 to overinflate contracts. Not only that, contracts were awarded to companies belonging to top government officials, cronies, family members, and close associates. For example, Roller Vision Engineering Limited, incorporated in 1990 with RC number 159855 at the Corporate Affairs Commission, Abuja, to carry out information and communication technology services anchored by Engineer Babachir Lawal. If you don't understand, name is Engineer Babachir Lawal. The current secretary to the federal government was awarded consultancy contract for the removal of the invasive plant species in Yobe State on 8th of March 2016. Although Engineer Babachir resigned the directorship of the said company in 2016, which was confirmed, it is on September 2016, which is a record. It is on record that he is still the signatory to the accounts of the company. D. The 95% to 100% payments, that 95% to 100% payments of all contracts awarded to PINE have been paid even as some contracts are yet to be fully executed. Example, payment of 108 million naira only for the supply of 1,100 units of temporary tarpaulin cabins at 302,000 naira per unit, made to Dantex Nigeria Limited, despite the fact that 125 units valued at 37.7 million naira were yet to be supplied. Recommendations of this committee. A. The federal government and states in the Northeast should, as a matter of urgency, that food items are adequately and promptly provided to displaced persons in order to address the prevailing malnutrition observed amongst them. B. Serious efforts should be put by both federal and state governments of the Northeast to provide conducive learning atmosphere for children of the IDPs. C. The federal Ministry of Health should be compelled to immediately deploy their personnel to all the IDPs to support the efforts of the International Humanitarian Crisis Managers and the Nigerian Air Force medical team in providing the necessary medical assistance so as to avoid possible outbreaks of communicable diseases like cholera, measles, and diarrhea. D. Federal and state governments should intensify efforts towards reconstruction of destroyed infrastructure, rehabilitation, and empowerment of the IDPs so that they can go back to their respective homes. E. The newly constituted Presidential Committee on Northeast should ensure that there is synergy and proper coordination among all humanitarian crisis agencies if the IDPs are to gain maximally from the entire exercise. F. The Presidential Initiative on Northeast shall forward a detailed report of all contracts awarded by it to the Bureau of Public Procurement as requested by Section 43(4) of the Public Procurement Act 2007. G. The Bureau of Public Procurement should undertake a re-evaluation of all contracts awarded by PINE under the Emergency Situation Arrangement to recover all proceeds from overinflated contracts. H. Contracts partially executed but fully paid for must be completed by the concerned contractors or asked to refund the equivalent money of outstanding jobs to the government treasury. I. Any public officer culpable of contravening any provisions of the section of the Public Procurement Act 2007 and the federal government financial rules and regulations pertaining to the award of this contract should be duly prosecuted by the relevant authorities. Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, on behalf of other members of the committee, I wish to thank you for the opportunity to present this interim report pending the completion of the full report which will be presented to you. And I so move. Thank you.
Senator Gbenga Shafa.
Point of order, Mr. President. Yes. I want to draw his attention.
Allow this our report to go out. Now.
Okay. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to call your attention to the observations in the submission of distinguished Senator Sani. I am Senator Gbenga Shafa, representing Lagos East Senatorial District. If you look at this report, you go to the last page, that is page 8, we'll find that out of 9 other members,
10 in all, 9 other members.
9 other members, because the chairman signed the original report.
Page 7.
Only 3 members signed. So I would like the chairman of the ad hoc committee to explain to this revered house why we should consider this report. Thank you very much.
Chairman.
Mr. Senate President, in the original list which is laid before you, there is a full quorum of about 7 people who have signed. So the one photocopied only has less than 3. So if he is interested, he can check on that. So I so move.
So what you are saying is the one that is laid here has is anybody, the members of the committee, I can see some of them are here. Is anybody making any objection to this report? No, those who have signed. Just a second. You have your opportunity. Those who signed have confirmed that they signed, that there are 7 people that signed. Yes? So the Senator Shafa, I think your observation has been noted. What he's saying that there are 7 people that signed the one that he laid. Okay? Well, let us, clerk, can you get a copy of what he laid? I'll confirm. Senator Shafa, that's your only observation, yes? Okay. Distinguished colleagues, I mean, I think we should be able to take our colleagues on their words. But on this document here, 7 people have signed. All right, okay. Contributions, please. Yeah, Senator Demilai, Senator Misawa, and Senator Yaya.
Fire.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, Dino Melaye, Kogi West. I want to start by appreciating, commending, and praying for the Shehu Sani Committee for doing the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria very proud. Going through this report, I know that this report is a holy report. And even in the Celestial, this report is already approved. If you turn to page 5, Mr. President, of the report, I stumbled on the name of the Secretary to the Federal Government, Engineer Babachir Lawal. And if I have the permission of Mr. President, before I elucidate for just 1 minute, I want to read a phrase there. Mr. President, can I proceed? Roller Vision, Engineering Limited, incorporated in 1990 with RC number 159855 at the Corporate Affairs Commission, Abuja, to carry out information and communication technology services, anchored by Engineer Babachir Lawal. The current Secretary to the Government of the Federation was awarded. Mr. President, I want you to underline with red biro your own copy. Awarded consultancy contracts for the removal of invasive plant species. That is maybe the species, the plants were removed technologically. I mean, using the instrumentality of computers. In Yobe State, on the 8th of March 2016, although Babachir resigned the directorship of the said company in September 2016, the year of our Lord. Mr. President, I am aware that Babachir Lawal became the Secretary to the Federal Government before this stipulated date. He became Secretary to Federal Government last year. So, and when this committee started looking at the books, Babachir Lawal, in the fashion of the fastest man in the world, ran to Corporate Affairs Commission and quickly withdrew his directorship of the company after the execution of the contract. Mr. President, and I am appalled that it is on record by this document that as I speak to you, he is still a signatory to the accounts of the company. Mr. President, this contract is not a constituency project. Mr. President, Mr. President, my dear colleagues, within my myopic knowledge, I am aware that going by the budget of 2015 and 16, there is no contract, labeled against the person, the name or company of the Secretary to Federal Government. This is disgraceful. This is abominable. This is diabolical. This is condemnable. This is unheard of. And this is an embarrassment to we members of the All Progressive Congress. Mr. President, Baba Chialawa have exhibited anti-Buhari tendencies. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, one of the finest presidents out of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo, will be rolling in his chair now in anger. Mr. President, yesterday I felt like crying, but today, Mr. President, I want to cry. I can see that in solidarity, the Senate President is also crying.
I have a cold.
We are not going to belabor this issue. Though this is an interim report, but the resources of this country belongs to the Talakawas and the Mekunus. And it belongs to all of us. This is gross abuse of office. Mr. President, there is a popular Hausa adage, Gaskiya Tafikobo. The truth is mightier than any currency. And every lie has an expiry date. The lie of the Secretary to the Federal Government have expired. So, Mr. President, from my own exalted position of the Senator representing the wonderful people of Kogi West Senatorial District, already there is a clarion call for immediate, just like the judges, for immediate resignation, and after completion of report, prosecution. We are not in a banana republic. Nigerians must not be taken for granted. And Mr. President, the 8th Senate is on test. By this misbehavior of the Secretary to the Federal Government, the integrity of Dr. Bukola Saraki is on test, is online. The integrity of the leadership of this Senate is on test. And the integrity of every member of this Senate, including Nigerians in diaspora, Senator Benbu's, all our tests is on fire. Finally, Mr. President, Finally, Mr. President, I want to believe that no senator here will trivialize, Mr. President, for the third time, will trivialize this issue based on religion, based on sentiments, based on party politics, or based on any paracoising, according to my colleague, Honorable Patrick Obayago. It is not a time for epileptic paracoising. It is time for us to call a spade, and a time for Dr. Bukola Saraki to act. We are watching.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President,
I think you can't silence the debate now, otherwise nobody can silence the debate now.
Lost control of the debate, so they allow the debate to flow. Anything we do now, wait.
Chief Senator Issa Misau.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Issa Hama Misau, representing Bauchi Central, Mr. President. I want to contribute to this powerful interim report. And already, Mr. President, my colleague, Senator Dino Malaye, has said it all, but I want to use this opportunity, Mr. President, to say little things what I feel. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, that is the difference in APC. When we see things irrespective of party, we say it the way it is. In some parties or in some people who tend to cover it. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, we have said it here that the reason why this government is not moving the way we want it is because of people like the SGF. Many people have said it before now. The reason why the board appointments, we have over 2,000 board appointments that have not been made. And people said it that because those board appointments were on market. And many people were denying those kind of reports. And today, God Almighty, in His infinite mercy, has brought this report openly to Nigerians to see the people that are against the anti-corruption crusade of Mr. President. Mr. President is not even aware of most of these things that are happening, but today, through this August Senate, Mr. President is aware that one of his lieutenants, in the position of SGF, is a kind of person who is not intending with the anti-corruption war that is getting. I remember when the same SGF, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, This issue is very, very, very important for this regime and for all of us. This is the same person, Mr. President, that is going against the institution of the National Assembly in terms of Mr. President, I think we have two things to do. The first thing, we call for the immediate resignation of the SGF today. We are not even going to give room for any lobby to take place. We know this thing is already authentic. This report is already authentic. Whoever has Nigerians, they should go to that. At this thing, we have the account numbers, we have the withdrawals, we have everything concerning this account. And I think the DSS, the EFCC, the ICPC, and all the security agents that are showing that they are part of the cruiser of this anti-corruption war, they should move ahead to invite this person, and let us see that for once this anti-corruption war is for everybody. It's not selective. Once this person is, once we see that the SGF is brought to book on this, we know that yes, this anti-corruption war is not selective. It's a serious thing, and without the prosecution of the SGF, we are sure that this anti-corruption war will not go anywhere. Thank you very much.
Senator Jola Olamilekon.
Mr. President, my very distinguished colleague, let me start by thanking the chairman of this distinguished ad hoc committee. Just this morning, when they are passing the documents round that we, the members of the committee, should sign, I could vividly remember my very humble self and Senator Abdullah was saying, if there are anything in this document that we are not in support of, we will stand up in these chambers and condemn it openly. But for the chairman who have taken the bull by the horn, who have shown to the Senate there is a lie, who have come out with the true position of things, even though there is need for us to summarize what we have seen. But if you are physically with us at the public hearing, you will see that the way this country has been managed within this shortest time is nothing to write home about. You see,
your mic. Your mic.
Release my mic. Mr. President, I speak in relation to the IDP camp. Mr. President, the man who was saddled with the responsibility of managing the PINE, this presidential initiative on Northeast. Mr. President, while he was giving his revelation to the committee, at a point, all that he was telling the committee was not in tandem with the document that was with us. By so doing, we have to put him on oath. We have to put him on oath, including the director from the Bureau of Public Enterprise. Because the document that is with us and what they are telling us are already at cross purposes. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, this is just one out of the numerous findings of this committee. That's why we have termed it interim report. Because we have gone beyond looking at the contract value in its face value. We have lifted the veil of incorporation of those companies. It is at one of our findings that we are able to unfold that one of the companies belonged to the secretary to the federal government. And not just one, because you look at these companies, their tax returns are not there. These are not companies that have been reporting in the last 5 years. These are companies that were just made all for the purpose of awarding this contract at the detriment of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And for somebody of high-ranking portfolio in this current administration to have been found wanting. I don't think we should go any further rather than asking him to resign that position and recommend him for prosecution immediately without no further delay. This is not a situation of us trying to cover up anything. If you look at the situation in the Northeast, you and I will agree with me that there is nothing to find home about. I give you an instance. Even the so-called IDP camps, where they promise that they have bought over 500 or 600 this makeshift housing, there is nothing there on ground when you visit. So I want to call on this Senate that we abide by the report of this committee and also implement it to the latter without no further delay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Matthew Rogidi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am Senator Matthew Rogide. I represent Edo South Central District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am going to avoid talking on one of the findings that my very dear colleagues have mentioned very sufficiently concerning the Roller Vision Engineering Company. Mr. President, I am privileged to be in the head committee. And some time ago, we had the stakeholders meeting. Of course, at the meeting, a lot of the things going on in our IDP camps were mentioned. And that is the lack of presence of the Federal Ministry of Health in our IDP camps, when in fact all other organizations are there rendering health services to our people that are in distress in the camps. Mr. President, I think it is worthy of mention here that this Senate has to take the proper decision or position on this matter, because the issue of malnutrition in our IDP camps today is a thing that has given us a lot of concern, not just those of us in this country, even the international community. Therefore, Mr. President, I will warn this Senate in very clear terms in considering these findings that the Federal Ministry of Health should be called to order on this issue so that we ought to provide the services that we so much need in these camps. And again, the issue of education was mentioned. For all to think of it that our youth that are very many, that constitute over 60% of our camps, do not have access to education at this time, I think it's a thing that should give us worry. And I believe that this Senate is in a position, to correct, some of these things that are happening in our camp, particularly that border on health and education. Then the issue of corruption, Mr. President, let me say too that we have been hearing about the activities of PINE all this while, in our IDP camps in the Northeast. We cannot overstress Roller Vision as a company, as the only company that is a corporate. We have been told too that 95 to 100% of the payments that have been made for all the contracts that have been awarded, that a lot of them too the items too have not been supplied. I believe that what happens to one who is a corporate must happen to all others, because those of them too that have not supplied items for which they have been paid should also be brought to book. Therefore, I am suggesting that a full investigation be carried out for all the contracts that have been awarded by all the companies by PINE, in the Northeast, so that we'll be able to ascertain the level of corruption. Why would I keep the temple? so that we're able to ascertain the level of corruption in this place. The one that we have mentioned, Mr. President, I just believe that we must be reminded when things like this present. Only some months back, you remember that we came up with the issue of constituency project on the floor of this Senate. And of course, I was very vehement about the denial that was meted out to members, to senators, as far as our constituency project is concerned. This issue again has come up. It has come up because the issue of corruption is being mentioned, you know, and it goes, is being symbolized by somebody who's in government. That is the pain. And the value for this contract that is being mentioned, about 270 million. There is no senator here that has constituency project that is up to that amount. And for one person to be, you know, to be canvassing a position of purity, and of course doing another thing, I think it calls for concern. Therefore, every person really, particularly the one that has been perpetrated by the SGF, Mr. President, this Senate must visit this issue. And if it is that he has become hypocritical on this matter, it is important too that we must bring this Senate to must look into the matter and bring him to book. And therefore, what he has had by virtue of patronage in the Northeast, that he has given to Rural Vision in the Northeast, all other persons that we were thinking will be able to do this job for us in our different constituencies, we too still must see to it that what he has done, he must receive that earlier claim by him about our constituency project, because he is guilty of this. I want to thank you very much for this.
All right, distinguished colleagues, I think we should move to the recommendation as proposed in the report, because recommendation 1, federal government and states. Yes, leader.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. I just want to, as we take the recommendation, I'm a bit worried. The worry is the fact that this is an interim report. We have seen the content, discuss it, and suggest way forward for completion. If we have a report which is interim, the question now is, what decisions do we take based on interim report? So why don't we allow the committee to finish the job?
Distinguished colleagues, the recommendations, I'm sure, will vary from being suggestions to conclusive recommendations. I think the point the leader is getting at is that so every recommendation will be treated as regards what the recommendation is. And I think the point you are making there, I think when we get there, we'll look at the issues as they come about. Because it's an interim report, and we'll look at those recommendations that are suggested and those that are conclusive. I mean, if you're having an interim report, then you have to wait for the report. So let's recommendation 1. Federal government and states in the Northeast should, as a matter of urgency, that food items are adequately and promptly provided to displaced persons in order to address the prevailing malnutrition observed amongst them. Those in favor of recommendation A, say aye.
Something is missing here. Ensure that food items. The federal government and states in the Northeast should, as a matter of urgency, ensure that.
All right. Those in favor of recommendation A as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2. Serious effort should be put by both federal and state governments of the Northeast to provide conducive learning atmosphere for the children of the IDPs. Those in favor of recommendation 2, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3. The Federal Ministry of Health should be compelled to immediately deploy their personnel to all the IDPs to support the efforts of the International Humanitarian Crisis Managers and the Nigerian Air Force medical team in providing the necessary medical assistance so as to avert possible outbreak of communicable diseases like cholera, measles, and diarrhea. Those in favor of recommendation C, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation D. Federal and state governments should intensify efforts towards reconstruction of destroyed infrastructure, rehabilitation, and empowerment of IDPs so they can go back to their respective homes. Those in favor of recommendation D, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation E, the newly constituted Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative, PCNI, should ensure that there is a synergy and proper coordination among all humanitarian crisis agencies if the IDPs are to gain maximally from the entire exercise. Those in favor of recommendation E say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation F, the Presidential Initiative on Northeast shall forward a detailed report of all contracts awarded by it to the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, as requested by Section 43, subsection 4 of the Public Procurement Act. Those in favor of recommendation F say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Recommendation G, the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, should undertake a evaluation of all contracts awarded by PINE under the Emergency Situation Arrangement to recover any proceeds from overinflated contracts. Chairman, this recommendation, are you putting that forward before you complete the exercise, or shouldn't this come at the end of your complete final report?
Well, I think it should start immediately. Yes.
All right. Yes, Senator Lasha, you say you had an amendment to that. This thing, Senator Abdullah, I wanted to contribute something.
Mr. President, I'm of the view that the recommendation that the BPE that is G. Yes. The Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, should undertake a re-evaluation of all contracts awarded by PINE under the Emergency Situation Arrangement to recover any proceeds from overinflated contracts. It's better. I think it should just do like that.
Listen, colleague, let me put the question then. Those in favor of recommendation G, that the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, should undertake a revaluation of all contracts awarded by PINE under the Emergency Situation Arrangement to recover any proceeds from overinflated contracts. Those in favor of recommendation G, say aye. Those against say nay. Nays have it. Recommendation H, contracts partially executed but fully paid for must be completed by the concerned contractors or asked to refund the equivalent money of outstanding jobs to the government of the Treasury. And this is the point I'm asking again. Surely it is you, I'm hoping at the end of your report, you should be able to guide us on which are these contracts. So I truly believe that this 8, for example, should be stepped down until you have completed your report. I think that's the way. Yeah. So I would, instead of putting it to vote, I'll step down that recommendation if we all agree to it. Yes. Recommendation I. Any public officer culpable of contravening any of the provisions of the Public Procurement Act 2007 and the federal government financial rules and regulations pertaining to the award of this contract should be duly prosecuted by the relevant authorities. Yeah. Senator Aliu Sabi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If we look at these very provisions, because what they have done is interim, I think this actually should wait till the end. No. Because the issue is this: you don't know the extent of complicity. No. If we have to allow it to go this way, then we should first allow those public officers to be found wanting administratively, and then thereafter you can put them for prosecution, not direct prosecution.
They can continue with their investigations.
Leader, you want to say something?
Sir, what I want to say is after you have ruled on Sabi, because I have additional information. After you've ruled on Sabi.
Oh, okay. Senator Shitu.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The right procedure here is you suspend the public officer pending the determination of the case. So you suspend them, then you prosecute to determine if they are found wanted. Huh? You have to suspend them, that's all. You cannot dismiss an officer without proving him. So the right thing is to suspend. So we amend it that any officer found, any officer capable of contravening any of the provisions of the Public Procurement Act and the Federal Financial Rules and Regulation, penal award of the conduct should be duly suspended and prosecuted.
Senator Mao Robert.
Which motion?
There's a motion to amend. Any seconder? Sorry. Okay, let me. Yeah, go ahead, then, Senator. There.
Mr. President, sir, if you have contravened, that means investigation has been carried out and you have been found guilty. So you can't then talk about suspending to investigate again. Contravention means something has been done wrong. That's what contravention means. There has been a breach of process, law, whatever you have.
I think I better put the question on this. There was a motion for amendment. Is there anybody seconding that? Okay, Senator, you want to second that? I will put the question.
Mr. President, I'm Senator Chukwukotaze. I second the motion moved by my friend Senator Bali Shitu that suspension and prosecution.
Okay, I'll put the question. Any public officer culpable or contravening any of the provisions of the Public Procurement Act 2007 and the federal government financial rules and regulations pertaining to the award of this contract should be duly suspended and prosecuted by the relevant authorities. Those in favor of recommendation I as amended, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Any additional recommendation? Yeah, Senator Gaya, then leader.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I am Kabiru Gaya from Kano South. Mr. President, the additional prayer, we have visited this site recently. We visited 5 of the IDP centers in the Northeast, and we found that most of the IDP centers have problems on water supply. So they have water shortage in those areas. So in view of that, I have an additional prayer which reads, it's noisy. See, whip is noisy. Whip is noisy. Yeah, the additional prayer reads, Federal Ministry of Water Resources should provide more boreholes at the IDP camps to alleviate the water shortage problems. We should have more boreholes in the IDP centers to alleviate the acute shortage of water supply in those areas. Thank you, sir. No, they have water problems now.
Who is any seconder? Any other additional prayer? Yes, Leah.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this is an interim report on the humanitarian crisis in the Northeast. Mr. President, in the course of this investigation, I want to use this opportunity to inform my distinguished colleagues that going by the record provided by Humanitarian Funding Overview in the office of OCHA, that is the Organization for Humanitarian Agency, under what is called the Humanitarian Crisis Response. So far, distinguished colleagues, I want to inform this Senate that the international community, consisting particularly United States, United Kingdom, Germany, European Community, and other countries, have so far, to address the humanitarian crisis in the Northeast, donated, and the agencies concerned have received $417 million as at December 5th. $415 million translates to about 127 billion naira. For the committee and other members that visit the Northeast, if you go to the Northeast where we are affected, you cannot find visible and commensurate activities happening. This committee should therefore consider investigating what is happening to the humanitarian funding that is coming, because there must be an oversight. So far, as I said, $417 million that translates to over 127 billion naira have been contributed. You know what that can do if actually it is used properly to address the issue of the humanitarian crisis.
Any other? Yes, Senator Abukeri.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Abubakar Kari, Senator representing Borno North. My additional prayer is in line with the other prayer that the federal government and state government should provide conducive learning atmosphere. I want, as a matter of urgency, the federal and state government should also establish skills and vocational training centers at the IDP camps for those that are above school age. I so submit.
Yes, Seconder. Distinguished colleagues, let me join other colleagues in commending the chairman of this committee and all the members on being able to submit a report before the end of this session. Not only submit a report, but also commend them for the courage that they must have taken to be able to come out with these very glaring infractions and acts that are totally not commendable. I want to also, the particular area on the humanitarian crisis that has to do with the issue of medical personnel assistance, the Ministry of Health will take note of this recommendation, and also the issue of food items. The message clearly coming from the Senate to all those in charge of these funds is that it cannot continue as business as usual. The newly PCNI should ensure that they now diligently and transparently see that utilization of funds. And for those who have contravened the provisions of the Public Procurement Act, I believe that this government that stands on the issues of fighting corruption and also being seen to do the right thing must also take this to rapid conclusion. There's no doubt that we don't have any other alternative than to be seen to be doing the right thing. And I think the point raised by one of the senators that the difference in this our own party is that we do not and will not cover up. This area, we must commend those senators that come up with this kind of reports. I want to thank the committee and let the committee ensure that they complete their report by the end, in the next couple of weeks, by the time they complete it, to give us the final report. And we ensure that these resolutions and recommendations, that the executive will take it seriously and see to the implementation. Senator Babaka Gabai.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Babaka Kabashir Garbai. I represent Borno Central Senatorial District. In all the prayers taken as a result of the interim report submitted by Senator Shehu Sani, an issue actually escaped the minds of all of us, because what the SGF did, that is the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, is against his oath of office. Because in the last prayer was talking about Public Procurement Act and financial regulation. What of his oath of office? Before, as a public officer, before you will take an oath of office, you have to resign in all your companies. So which he did not do it. So because of that, what he did is against his oath of office as a public officer. So because of that, he should be prosecuted. The SGF should be prosecuted. One of the prayers should be that the SGF should be prosecuted because it is against his oath of office.
Distinguished Senator, I think the prayer eye has covered that area. Yeah, who is seconding the motion? Yeah, Ms. Sani.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion heavily presented by Senator Kaka. I second.
Distinguished colleagues, there's a motion which has been proposed and seconded by proposed by Senator Babaka Gabai, seconded by Ahmed Sani. It doesn't need a third second or fourth one. The prayer is that specifically saying that Energy Alawa, the SGF should resign and be prosecuted. Those in favor of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Point of order. Point of order. Point of order.
Leader of the Senate. Point of order, Senator Dino Milai.
Mr. President, my very, very, very patriotic colleagues, Dino Milai, Kogi, West Senatorial District. This morning, or this afternoon, Mr. President, I draw fresh inspiration from the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, and I draw the attention of distinguished senators to Part 1 of the first schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic. Because if our resolutions are seen as mere resolutions, and they said, Section 1.3 said, once there's a conflict between any other law and the Constitution shall be supreme. So I read Part 1 of the first schedule of the Code of Conduct for Public Officers in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. 1. A public officer shall not put himself in a position where his personal interests conflict with his duties and responsibilities. Without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing, a public officer, if you read it down, so it is not a matter of mere resolution, and this is for the attention of the executive, that failure for him to resign or be announced suspended by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria amount to a breach of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the APC is about respect for the rule of law. We are watching.
Noted. Leader of the Senate.
I'll continue. Because the president is coming this afternoon.
Order now, call. Order! Mr. President and
order!
This is an obituary.
Order!
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, you are aware that we are to receive Mr. President at 2 o'clock. In view of that, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I move that we stand down the rest of the items on the order paper in order to enable us adjourn for 1 hour to receive Mr. President, who is going to present the budget. I so move.
Order! Order! Dino Belay, take your seat. Senator Ben Bruce, take your seat. Order, yes, new whip.
Mr. President.
Order!
Mr. President.
Order!
My distinguished colleagues, I rise to amend the motion as moved by the leader that we stand down the other items on the other paper except just the motion on the urgency for 1 minute silence in honor of those who died in the Uyo crisis. Just that. And it will take a few minutes and we are off. So, Mr. President,
we're coming back.
Yes.
Mr. President,
it's a good one. It's a good one. Order.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, in view of the fact that we are expecting Mr. President at 2 o'clock, I want to crave your indulgence and allow me to reorder the order paper to take additional very important items on the order paper. Mr. President, I therefore move that we stand down the report on the committee, the report of the Committee on Power and Steel Development and Metrology, and also stand down the report of the Committee on Ethics and Privileges, and also the report of Committee on Maritime Transport to another legislative date, and take the confirmation for the nomination by Mr. President, request by Mr. President on the confirmation of the nomination of Mr. Anthony Nyeni for the appointment as Auditor General of the Federation in accordance with Section 86(1) of the 1999 Constitution as amended, because it is time bound. I so move.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that will suspend items 2, 3, and 4, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader, can you? And then there's a motion here that we should consider the request from the President CNC on the confirmation of nomination of Mr. Anthony Nyeni for appointment of Auditor General of the Federation in accordance with Section 86(1) of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This is referred to the Committee on Public Accounts. Senator Anduba, because it's time bound, I think it's by Sunday the Auditor General there has to retire. So we'll ask you if you kindly fast track and see how you can carry out the screening sometime today, so we can bring the report tomorrow for later consideration. Yes, thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I also, as I said, there are two important motions, a matter of that came under matter of urgent national importance yesterday. One of which is the motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, the minority leader, on the church building collapse in Uyo and the need to curtail the spate of building collapse in Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio to move the motion.
Senator Akpabio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, with your indulgence and the indulgence of the Senate, I want to move this motion that concerns a very serious tragedy that of
Distinguished colleagues, can we have some silence, please? Senator Obina, can you go back to your seat, please? We have some silence, please. Please, so that we can take this very, very important motion. All right, Manager, go ahead.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, with sadness in my heart, I want to move this motion in respect of the church building collapse that occurred in Uyo last week, and the need for us to curtail future occurrences of this nature in Nigeria. The co-sponsors of this motion are my dear brothers, Senator Nelson Effiong and Senator Albert Akpan. The Senate knows with sadness the shocking and unfortunate incidents of the collapse of Rena's Bible Church, a new generation church located along Uyo Village Road in Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. Distinguished which event occurred on Saturday, 10th day of December 2016. The Senate knows with great concern the recurring problem of building collapses in the country due to lack of strict enforcement of building codes by various authorities.
The Senate also notes that this trend, which is mostly synonymous with private buildings, has crept into sacred buildings of worship, leading to high casualty records due to the number of persons attending such worship and at such centers. The Senate is very concerned that the ugly incident that occurred in Uyo, in Akwa Ibom State, occurred at about 11 a.m., just a few seconds after His Excellency, the State Governor, Governor Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, and his entourage entered the church. The Senate is aware that Akwa Ibom State Governor, Mr. Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, and some members of the State Executive Council narrowly escaped death when this incident occurred. However, most worshippers were not that lucky, as many of them lost their lives and several others were injured when the building collapsed over them. The Senate recalls that on Friday, 12th day of September 2014, a 6-story guest house located within the premises of Synagogue Church of All Nations, that was in Ikotun in Lagos State, collapsed, leading to the loss of many lives, including foreigners, some of whom were South Africans, some Nigerians, Beninois, and some Togolese. The Senate is aware that statistics indicate that in the last 2 years alone, most major cities in Nigeria have experienced nothing less than 3 to 4 building collapses. Such incidents have occurred in major cities in Nigeria. And further statistics indicate that 60% of structures in Nigeria were built without authorization, and that about 85% of building materials in Nigeria are substandard, while over 80% of such materials are indeed imported into Nigeria. The Senate is worried that the factors attributed to this menace are numerous and include, amongst others, lack of necessary and proper building approvals and supervisions, use of substandard materials, of course the increased population density, lack of professional competence, and activities of quacks in the industry, bad workmanship, compromising standards due to bribery and corruption, lack of adequate maintenance, greedy attitude of contractors, and of course the wear and tear of various structures in the country, just to mention a few. The Senate is deeply worried that although there is provision for summary trial of violators and offenders of building codes in the various parts of the country, there is no record of persons convicted so far and seriously tried or sanctioned for incidences of building collapses, either by the Ministry of Justice, the Nigerian Police Force, or law enforcement agencies and other organs of government. And therefore concerned that this is the right time for these hallowed chambers and Nigeria as a whole to act in order to save lives and properties of Nigerians from continuous destruction due to this kind of national catastrophes. Accordingly, the Senate resolved to 1. Observe a minute's silence in honor of those who lost their lives at the Renaissance Bible Church collapse in Uyo. 2. Urge all the rescue operators in the country, including NEMA, Fire Service, Red Cross, Nigerian Police, Nigerian Army, and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, to always be at alert to facilitate rescue operations of lives in similar circumstances across the nation. We wish that the Senate sends a delegation to visit and commiserate with the state government, the state governor, and the good people of Akwa Ibom State on these tragic incidents that have befallen Nigeria. We also want to urge the federal government to direct NEMA and Federal Ministry of Health and any other relevant agency to immediately provide relief materials such as vital drugs and other infant personnel, essential and other essentials, to alleviate the plight of the victims, some of whom are still in various hospitals both in Akwa Ibom State and across the nation. The Senate would like to urge the federal government to direct professional bodies to withdraw licenses of their counterparts who are culpable in any building collapse in any part of Nigeria. I so move, Mr. President.
Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. I would like to first inform the Senate that on Monday, the 12th day of December 2016, Your Excellency the Senate President sent myself and the Deputy Senate Leader to go to Akwa Ibom and condole the Governor and the people of Akwa Ibom. We did, Your Excellency. We also had the opportunity of attending a church service later that evening to thank God for those who survived and also in honor of those who died. Your Excellency, it was indeed an opportunity for us to also hear from the Governor all that happened and the efforts of the government to ensure that lives were saved. We are particularly informed of the effort of the construction companies, especially Julius Berger, in ensuring that the collapsed building was lifted such that so many people had to be rescued. Again, the Governor singled out the Commissioner for Health in commending him for his effort and all that he did to save many lives, including personally carrying out some surgery operations. And he also informed us that he sent an aircraft to go to Lagos and bring in neurosurgeons from different hospitals in Lagos who worked tirelessly to stabilize those who were in trauma. And as at that Monday, that 99% of those in hospital were stable. So we not look to this opportunity on behalf of the Senate, not only to condole the Governor and the people of Akwa Ibom, but also to thank him and commend him for the efforts he made in ensuring that many lives were saved. What happened was unfortunate, and our prayer is that it will not happen again. We sent condolences to those who lost their lives and informed them that this Senate and indeed Nigerians are standing by them at this period of trial. We only want to plead that just as this incident brought it together all segments of the society in Akwa Ibom, because we saw the parliament, we saw the judiciary, we saw the national rulers, those in the executive, all came together in solidarity to the government and also in sympathy with those who died. That this should be an opportunity for the people of Akwa Ibom to live together in peace and harmony, because we believe that together they can all be able to go pull through this trying period. So once more, I would like to condole the minority leader of the Senate, our distinguished colleagues from Akwa Ibom, the Governor, and the government and people of Akwa Ibom. And our prayer is that this kind of a thing will never happen again in Akwa Ibom, anywhere else in Nigeria. In Jesus' name.
Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand to contribute to this very important motion as a result of the tragedy that happened in Uyo. But I want to say, Mr. President, that or remind my distinguished colleagues that this is Nigerian Senate. And when unfortunate incidences like this happen, we should not just come here, condole and mourn. We should be specific. We should provide solutions. We should do all those things that we need to do under our powers as provided by the Constitution to avoid or stop the repetition of this kind of incidents. As my distinguished colleague, the minority leader said, we have incidences like this before. What happened? We came here, lamented, and that's it. Over 1 year now, I did not hear anything from Lagos. Not to talk of other buildings that just collapsed because somebody was careless or somebody compromised or somebody did not do his work properly. And we should ask some questions, even right here. I do not wish that the pastor or whoever is the overseer, as they call it, of that church is. How come he didn't die? And everybody died. So many people died. What happened? Why the city, the overall, the place, I did not see it collapse. It didn't collapse on other people, it collapsed on so many people that are now accountless. So this Senate should go further to now investigate this particular incident. Who is responsible? Who gave the order? Who gave the approval? Who built the place? And these people should be arrested. These people should be punished. Even if it's a state matter, the Senate can recommend that. It is left for the state to either take that recommendation or not. I want to commend the mover of the motion and also specifically to the DSP because he ran to Oyo immediately on behalf of this Senate to commensurate with the people. That's a very good move. So we should look at the prayers and be more specific.
Thank you very much.
Let's go to the prayers. Information. Okay, step.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, let me thank the Deputy Senate President for aptly capturing the entire thing that happened, and to say that one of the requests of the governor is for us to convey to the Senate that the reports we were reading on the social media and the papers were not accurate, and that it was overstated, and that as at day before yesterday, there were only 2 that were in critical condition, but 1 has been stabilized, and that they want the Senate to assist them to urge the federal government to assist with some funding, not drugs. 23, the official 23. We are telling you what the governor has told us, and the commissioner of health, who was physically present from the time the thing happened up to yesterday, day before yesterday, when we were fully briefed. 23 lost their lives. And they have, what happened was that they were counting people that were moving from one hospital to another, because when the neurosurgeons were brought in, certain people that were in private hospital were moved, were moved to the hospital. So please, all that the governor said is that the Senate should assist in urging the federal government to assist them with some more funding, because drugs per se will not solve the problem, because they may not meet the prescription by the doctors. That's the information that I want.
Thank you very much, Deputy. Let's go to prayer. Prayer 1. Observe a minute silence in honor of those who lost their lives in the Reynolds Bible Church building collapse in New York. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. There is a prayer 2. Urge all the rescue operators in the country, including NEMA, Fire Service, Red Cross, the police, the army, the security, civil defense, to always be at alert to facilitate rescue operations in lives in similar circumstances. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. There is a prayer 3 will send high power. That's already been done, so we can step that down. Go to prayer 4. Urge the federal government to direct NEMA and the Ministry of Health and other relevant agencies to immediately provide relief materials such as vital drugs and other essentials to alleviate the plight of the victims in various hospitals. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. And prayer 5, urge the federal government to direct professional bodies to withdraw licenses of their counterparts who are culpable in any building collapse in any part of Nigeria. Is that to do with prayer 5? Okay, go ahead, Senator Gobri.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. Prayer number 5 is not necessary because professionally, if anybody constructs a building that collapses, and the Nigerian Society of Engineers follows it up and discovers that yes, there is a problem within that or within the design or whatever it is,
that guy is going to lose his or her own license. And that is automatic. It's also taken care of in the Quorum Bill. Whatever happens in that regard, that guy is going to lose his or her on whatever license. So,
okay, we'll stand on that prayer. But just since you know much about this, can you tell us the engineer that did the one in Lagos, has he lost his license now?
yes, exactly. Your Excellency, the only thing I can do for you is to ask the local state government to find out exactly if that has been done. But that is actually enshrined within our own constitution.
Any additional prayer? Yes, Senator Shitu.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We ask the federal and state government to ensure compliance to building regulations. Strict compliance to building regulations.
Yeah, any seconder to that? Yes, Senator Opozadima.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Opozadima, Imo West. I like to support that we urge the federal and state governments to ensure compliance, indeed, with all the regulatory authorities, as moved by Senator Shitu.
Senator Shitu, laws and regulations. Can you repeat it?
Compliance to building laws and regulations.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of additional prayer to urge the federal government and state to ensure strict compliance to building and laws and regulations. Those in favor of additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Philip Aduda, FCT. Mr. President, according to the Deputy Leader, my additional prayer is to urge the federal government to come to the aid of the state financially, to assist the government with finances.
Seconder. Who is seconding that motion? Senator Baribe.
Thank you, Mr. President. In Baribe, Abia South, I rise to second the motion, the additional prayer ably moved by the minority whip, Mr. Philip Aduda of the Federal Capital Territory.
Yes, thank you.
What is the prayer?
Mr. President, the prayer is according to the whip that urge the federal government to assist the state in taking part of the financial burden of this incident.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the additional prayer urge the federal government to assist the states financially as regards to this unfortunate incident. Those in favor of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Ayusabi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to propose that we should urge the state government to ensure that those found culpable in this disaster should be prosecuted to serve as a deterrent for others. Because life is involved.
Any seconder to that? Additional prayer, Senator Andiba.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Andiba, representing Anambra South. Urge the professional bodies to withdraw licenses and their licenses of their counterparts who are culpable in any building collapse in any part of Nigeria.
I thought Senator Gobri had already covered that aspect. Yeah. Yes, Senator Hussein. Senator Jeremiah Hussein, yes. I've recognized you.
Mr. President, colleagues, I'm Senator General J.T. Usedi from Plateau South. additional prayer is that the pastor in charge of that church should be prosecuted, because according to the papers, it was given a stop order and he refused and continued with the work.
Any seconder to that? Distinguished colleagues, can we please rise and observe 1 minute silence? No, those are lost. May the gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. I thank you, Minority Leader, for bringing that motion, and also Deputy Senate President and Deputy Leader for representing us there. As well as it's a very tragic event, and we all commiserate with the good people of Akwa Ibom and the governor, and also condole those that lost their lives. But more importantly is to ensure that these do not end just as motions. We must ensure that we follow up, and I hope that our committees, particularly our Committee on Housing and their oversight function, also see the role. They can look at some of these laws and see whether implementation of some of these laws are there, and make recommendations that we can act upon, because we must put an end to these unfortunate incidents. Leader of the Senate.
And my distinguished colleague, the third order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Binta Masi Garba on the recent suicide attack on Madagali Market in Adamawa State. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Binta Garba Masi to move the motion.
Senator Binta Garba Masi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Binta Masi Garba, Adamawa North Senatorial Zone of Adamawa State. I stand to move a motion on the recent suicide attack in Madagali Market of Madagali local government in Adamawa State. The Senate notes with a deep sense of grief and
Senator Tijani Kaura, you are disturbing Senator Binta Garba Masi. Your mic.
Thank you, Mr. President, once again. The Senate notes with a deep sense of grief the dastardly twin bomb attack that took place on Friday, the 9th of December 2016 at a busy market in the town of Madagali, Adamawa State. The Senate notes also that the coordinated bomb attack masterminded by 2 teenage bombers who disguised as customers at the sections of the market selling grains and second-hand clothing went off simultaneously when the Madagali market was filled to the brink. The Senate also is aware that not fewer than 56 lives were lost, even as 177 others were said to have been injured in the attack that happened in the marketplace. Aware also that Madagali was among the territory captured by Boko Haram insurgents in 2014 before the Nigerian troops supported The Nigerian troops supported by a regional force liberated it in 2015. Further aware that Friday's incident was the third in the town since two female bombers attackers attacked in December 28 of 2015 at a busy motor park, killing scores of people. Worried that the relative peace enjoyed in Adamawa State in the last 1 year has now been truncated. Convinced that terrorism of any form is condemnable and an outright offense against humanity, the Senate accordingly resolved to observe 1 minute silence in honor of those who lost their lives, 2, condemn the attack in its entirety, 3, commend NEMA for its quick response to the humanitarian crisis, 4, call on the federal government of Nigeria to adequately compensate the victims of the bereaved families while taking care of the wounded, and 5, call on the security agencies to embrace modern technology in explosive detection and also to expand their intelligence network, especially now that the insurgents are being embattled in the Northeast. Mr. President, I so move. Thank you.
Deputy Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, I think this is a very straightforward matter, and it's a matter of common knowledge to each and every one of us of that sad event that happened there. And I think that we will even be doing honor to this motion if we do not subject it to debate, which will show that the entire Senate is standing by the people of Madagali, the Adamawa State government, and the entire country for this issue. And I therefore urge that my colleague will allow the President to go direct to the President.
All right, go straight to the prayer. Prayer 1. Observe 1 minute silence in honor of those who lost their lives. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Condemn the attacks in the entirety. Those who in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. Commend NEMA for its quick response to the humanitarian crisis. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4. Call on the federal government to adequately compensate the victims of the bereaved families while taking care of the wounded. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. Let's have it. And for prayer 5, call on the security agencies to embrace modern technology in explosive detection and also to expand the intelligence network, especially now that the insurgents are being embattled in the Northeast. Those in favor of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. There's any additional prayer? If not, let us stand up and observe 1 minute silence in honor. May the gentle souls rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, order! Order! Duro Fashe, sit down. Senator Hassan, stop smiling. Sit down. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, may I at this stage move that we suspend sitting to 1:45 to enable the Senate join its counterpart for the purpose of receiving Mr. President by 2 o'clock. Secondly, Mr. President, in order to properly put ourselves in line with our rules, I move that we suspend all other rules in the standing order to enable this Senate seen beyond 2 o'clock with their colleagues in the other chamber. I so move. 2.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader that this Senate do temporarily adjourn to join our colleagues to receive Mr. President and then suspend other rules on the other paper. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion just move, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Huh?